A very good morning to the students of class 8, and as your periodic test 2 is approaching, that is why we will be discussing we have already started discussing about the chapter pollution of water and air, which is actually the syllabus for chemistry for your periodic test 2. So when you are talking about pollution of air and water, so air and water are two very vital thing which is actually very necessary for the survival, for our survival. So that is why when we are talking about air, we cannot live without air. Even for us, even for even for 1 or 2 minutes, right? So, and then again for water, we may be able to live for 1 day, but again we have to quench our thirst with water. So that is why when the topic for pollution of water and air comes in, it is a very important one, because we need to have a clean environment where we can stay very properly, and also we are making it clean for the future generation, because we have to live on this earth. Though there are so many options being kept out, that we can go to Mars or whatever it is, but what happens is that ultimately everyone cannot go there. So you have to be on this earth, and that is why it is the duty of every citizen on this earth to make this world or your earth or the universe a clean one. So that is why so many environmentalists are coming up with the way of how to use the discarded materials, that is the waste, and then how to make this environment a pollution-free environment. Now, in fact, if you have learned, it was in the news that actually there is one person who is trying to make the river Ganga free from pollution, because what happens in Haridwar and all, since there are lots of temples, so what happens, all the flowers are being thrown out. So just see the idea of that person, that he collected, he was sitting by the river Ganga, and then what happened, his mind struck about an idea of collecting the flowers which are being thrown over in the river. And then what he did, he tried to in fact he did not try, in fact he has made those flowers into the incense sticks, that is dhup katti, that is the dhup sticks and all, and then it has turned into that has added great credit to his effort, that he has been able to transform the thrown out flowers after being offered to the deities and the gods and goddesses, and then he collected those, and it has also given employment to lots of ladies in that area. And in fact it has actually tried to bring about a repercussion from the word pollution. That means the word pollution is going away, and in fact this has added inspiration to lots of young people to come up, or the environmentalists to come up with new ideas how to save this earth. So as we move on to the discussion of pollution of water and air, so we need to be very cautious, because air you cannot actually clean up like filter, like water. You can filter it out and then drink clean water. But for air you cannot. You have to take the air which is available to us. So how does pollution occurs? Like if you burn plastics, and then when you burn plastics, then what happens? Those plastics will give out some smell, which is quite irritating for you to smell. So that is why what happens here is that when you are talking about the pollution of the air, then we have to be concerned that it does not give out some harmful substances or materials which actually pollutes the air. That is why, because as I told you that water, okay, even if it is dirty, then we can, those who can afford, but in the villages you will see small kids who jump into the river and then jump into lakes and ponds, and then they drink that water only. So they are consuming that water. But the people who are in who are affordable and then who lives in the city, so they can go for some filtration process and then drink the clean water. But you cannot clean up air through any process. You have to inhale the air that is available in your environment. That is why it is very important that we should keep the environment clean. So when you are talking about water pollution, so water when it contains impurities, in the villages you will see lakes and ponds, and then sometimes you will see that when there is flood, the water gets accumulated, then you see that the water with your eyes only you can tell that water is not safe to drink. So when it contains lots of impurities and then it causes harm to our living, that is actually to our living means not only the human beings, I am talking about the animals and plants as well, because those are also living beings who takes in water, and then this is actually this substance which pollutes the water is known as water pollutants. So as I told you that it contains the harmful impurities. Impurities itself is a harmful substance. So when there are impurities in the in water, so those are known as water pollutants. And then actually what happens, as I told you, that it's a very common way where we suppose even if you see the rivers, especially after a festivals where the deities, even Durga Puja, when the deities are being thrown in the rivers. So what happens, the clothes and all, the muds, which is actually the clay with which it is being prepared, like even the crackers and all, when we dispose of. If you see by the roadside, you will see that lots of things are being dumped and then it is being thrown up in the rivers. So that actually the water bodies are being the amount of things which are being waste which are being disposed of in the water bodies goes on increasing and increasing, and that actually pollutes the air. So if the amount of waste which is dumped is not very high, then the natural process will obviously decay it. But if it is very high, then it will not be very easy to dispose of the ever increasing population, because as the human population increases, then what happens, our demands also goes on increasing, and then the amount of waste that is being disposed of will also increase. And then there is when the human population increases, then what happens, then it also creates a problem, because the demands of the human beings increases, so naturally the production has also to go up, and the number of industries has also to come up. So that is why the amount of waste which goes into the water is very high, and the natural process of decaying this substances goes on. It cannot it cannot so easily decay, because the amount of waste is going on increasing and increasing, and that will create more problems. So the water in the rivers and seas, that is why it goes on when you are actually disposing of the waste in that water bodies, then the amount of pollution also goes on increasing and increasing. So that means the pollution levels are so high, and then when the water bodies get polluted, so naturally the aquatic plants and animals also get affected. So that is why, because the amount of when you are increasing the amount of the pollution, then it adversely affects the aquatic plants and animals, and it becomes because the oxygen level also goes down, and it becomes difficult for the aquatic plants and animals to survive. So and then there are so the main causes for this water pollution is sewage, as I told you, then the industrial waste, then even the fertilizers and the pesticides that are being used, and because it actually fertilizers and pesticides increases the amount of pollution, because they contains lots of harmful substances like DDT and all, which increase the amount of pollution in the water bodies. So I end my class over here, and have a good time ahead. Thank you very much.